Hey, how's it going everyone? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. So if you guys have been following the content on my channel here recently, you would know that I am a really big proponent of third-party games on Nintendo Switch. It's why I started the Make the Switch series to showcase some of these games, but more specifically, I wanted to do a follow-up video since we are about a week into that series on why I do the things I do and how with some recent data that's come out, the Switch third-party movement is actually gaining momentum and not floundering like we all thought it would. So with the topic of third-party support on Nintendo platforms, I mean, this is nothing new. This problem has existed for ages. It's existed for generations. If you want to be technical about it, Nintendo has not had any major multi-platform game that's been released in the past 10 years on their system. Of course, there are some outliers. Of course, they've had the occasional Call of Duty here and there. But let's be honest, when was the last time a major quality third-party multi-platform game released on a Nintendo system? When was the last time that game had any legs? When was the last time that game overall thrived on the ecosystem? Yeah, it's been a very long time, unless you're counting something like Just Dance or whatever, which just sells on whatever system it's put on. When it comes to these major releases, you know, I fought with the Nintendo fanboys through tooth and nail that Nintendo needs to work harder to get these games. And whether that means creating a more competent system, whether that means creating an actual online ecosystem for these games to thrive, they need to be on the system because third-party support, whether you want to believe it or not, is actually the lifeblood of a system. And I have the perfect example to prove that third-party is so important. Look at the Nintendo Wii U. The Nintendo Wii U had a great bevy of first-party releases. Granted, it wasn't the strongest stuff in the Nintendo history, but it still had a decent library. Why did that system fail? Well, outside of Nintendo's asinine design choices for the system, it didn't have the quality third-party support. Now, we've talked about this at length, why the third-party on the Wii U was pretty much non-existent. You could chalk it down to multiple reasons. There were some bad ports from some really shady developers, but in some situations, whenever we got really quality releases, quality ports, the Nintendo fans didn't come out there to support it. They didn't speak, they didn't vote with their wallets, which is very, very disappointing because there were a lot of great gems on the Wii U, just unfortunately, they weren't really seen until they got ported into other systems. But with some new information that's come out, it seems to me that Nintendo Switch is kind of a turning of the tides. Now, I already know what some people are going to take this video as. It's, oh, this guy talking about old-ass games that you can get for $5 on Steam. If you wanted to play these games, better versions of the games, there are other options. Why would you spend the premium on Switch? Why would you even think about playing it on this portable handheld? I'm just going to be honest with y'all. The portability aspect is one of the main reasons why I decided to rebuy some of these games on Switch. But it looks like I'm not alone in that case because if you look at the Nintendo Switch eShop and you scroll to the bestsellers category, you will see that all of these major third-party games that have released in the past week, which was a very big week for Nintendo Switch, all of those games are in the top 15. I mean, what did we have at the beginning of the week? We had Rocket League, right? Rocket League, immensely popular game, $20 on the Nintendo Switch. That is #1 on the system. #1. Now, some people can say that's expected. It's Rocket League. Of course, it's going to sell on whatever platform you put it. $20. Hey, man. But seriously, Rocket League already #1, and it's already dethroned Super Mario Odyssey, a game that just came out, so that was very surprising. Going past #2, Super Mario Odyssey, we have The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, a game that just released on Friday. Full price, mind you. The game people said would flop on the system, it's #3 on the eShop. Fantastic, I've been playing it, I love it. #4, Stardew Valley. Again, another game that a lot of people were surprised that it actually stayed #1 at the charts for a while. #5, Doom. Another game people expected to flop because of its price tag. In the top 5 on Switch bestsellers eShop. #6, Sonic Forces. Okay, that's already derailing this video. I was making a point, and then the fact that Sonic Forces is on this list just killed it entirely. But I digress. #7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Overcooked, another third-party game. 9, Zelda Breath of the Wild. Can't escape that. #10, LA Noire. And then you get into some other smaller titles here and there like Minecraft, Uno, Sonic Mania, etc., etc. But if the Nintendo Switch eSeller list, wow, their eShop list is any indication about how these games are performing, Nintendo fans, or I don't even want to just say Nintendo only gamers, but Switch owners are supporting their releases, which is very, very surprising because we didn't see that on the Wii. We didn't see that on the Wii U. We didn't see that on the 3DS when it came to certain third-party releases. But with Switch, I think the fact that, you know, not that it's comparable to PlayStation or Xbox or PC, I think the fact that it's close enough to that really gives people incentive to want to play it on the go. Yes, they're not getting the best version of it. They are the worst by all accounts. It's the sheer fact that you can play it in so many different ways that actually gets people thinking, I was going to buy this game on one system. Let me get it on the Nintendo Switch. And I think that's the mindset that a lot of people have shifted towards. And it's kind of why these games didn't sell well on the Wii U and why those developers were kind of hesitant to bring those games to the platform. Because when you have your home theater set up, whatever system you have, let's say you have two, let's say you have an Xbox and you have a Wii U, why in the world is someone going to go out there and buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on the Wii as opposed to the Xbox 360? It makes no sense, right? But if you have the ability to take that version with you on the go and it's close enough to its counterparts and it's not gimped as far as features is concerned, that's more of an incentive for a person to get the game as opposed to it just being a stationary Nintendo system. And I think that's kind of the line that Nintendo has struck with the Switch and why it's, I guess, been succeeding thus far. So in that respect, that could be a main factor on why these games are selling. Not necessarily because they're games people have always wanted to play, but the portability aspect just tipped them over in that respect. I understand to some people a bestseller list for a digital platform might not seem like the biggest indication to a system is succeeding, but we also have some words from third-party publishers on their recent Switch success. Now I want to take it from the least surprising and go all the way up to the most surprising. Now we don't have a lot of testimonies from these publishers, but it's good enough. First things first, and the one that's the most, it's going to sound so weird when I explain it, but you'll understand as soon as I tell you who the company is. Capcom. Capcom stating that they are so happy with their Switch support while also being hesitant on the system. It's just so weird, it doesn't make any sense. Capcom has only released 2 major games on the system, that Monster Hunter Double Cross and Ultra Street Fighter 2. Those are the only games they've launched on the system. But according to them, their support was so strong, even though they're still not interested that much in the system. You see how strange it sounds? It's like, we're happy our games succeeded on the system, but we're still kind of hesitant on the system to put other games that more people would be interested in. You know what I'm saying? Like, since then, the only games that they've really released are, you know, titles that people would expect to do well. And in the case of Ultra Street Fighter 2, I was surprised that did as well as it did, because it's like $40 on release. What the heck, man? But they do have another release coming up this month, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2. That's launching on the system. It's really interesting because those games launched on the Nintendo 3DS, and then they made their way to consoles, and now they're coming back to a Nintendo console hybrid thingy-babobber. So that's really interesting. But again, Capcom support on the Switch. The next publisher we have word from is 2K. Take-Two, I should say, with NBA 2K18. They say they were pleasantly surprised with the support on the Switch version. Now, whether that means the game sold 1 copy or 100 copies, we don't know, because they sell millions of copies across other systems, so I'm sure what they invest in the Switch version, even if it was just a little bit of dough, if they somehow made that back, I think that's more than enough for them. Which could bode well for future developers and publishers. If the development costs of Switch are pretty low, they don't have to necessarily sell 3, 4, 5, 6 million copies in order for them to make an impact and actually thrive on the system. And the last publisher, which is actually the most surprising one of all, is Ubisoft. The Nintendo Switch accounted for 19% of their overall sales in this past quarter. 19%! What games from Ubisoft are on the Switch outside Just Dance and Mario and Rabbids? Maybe Mario and Rabbids was the one that kind of just tipped everything over, because 19% is pretty high. If I remember correctly, the PlayStation 4 was at 31%, Xbox was like somewhere around the Nintendo Switch, with PC being like 15. So that's dangerously high for the first year of a system, not even the first year, and they've only had a handful of releases. Whether that means we're going to get the next Assassin's Creed or some smaller Ubisoft titles, who's to say? But that is very surprising to say the least. Going forward, I think the momentum has the potential to kick into high gear as more developers and publishers see that the Switch is a success in this sense. I mean, I'm not expecting CD Projekt Red to put the next Cyberpunk game on here or port The Witcher to the Nintendo Switch, but all these games that you would see across other systems, these middle-of-the-road titles that we really don't see too often, I think those can really thrive on Nintendo Switch because, let's be honest, those games are not graphically demanding. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most of those games that we see from Japan, with the exception of the high-quality budget of a Square Enix title, you could pretty much run all those games on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, you'll have to do a little bit of wizardry to get them to work, but let's be real, when was the last time Japan produced a graphically intensive, demanding, push the systems to its limits game? The only one I could think of in recent memory was Final Fantasy 15, and even then, it's kind of like, I wouldn't want to play that game ever again, so don't put it on the Switch. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was this video. I don't know if I'm going to make a future one in terms of talking about Switch support, the momentum going forward, but I'm really surprised with the results that I'm seeing thus far. Switch owners are definitely adhering to what we've been telling them for the past 2 generations. If you want these future games on the system, you need to support them. Does that mean we're going to see future day-and-date releases of popular third-party titles? I don't know, but anything can happen if a system is selling. And maybe when Nintendo comes out with the Tegra X2 version of the Switch, which is rumored, maybe we'll get day-and-date releases of Wolfenstein 3 or Dishonored 3, but judging by the sales from those games, I don't know if we're just going to ever see sequels of them in general. Who knows? Anyways, from me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out, and like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.